Dave here, joining us right before the 2-minute warning. Justin Jefferson gets pass and first down. We need a score here, man. Do we need a score? Wow. That is good. All right. Time for the roll-in. Welcome to Vikings First and SKOL's, live at the 2-minute warning. Next. Hey, everybody, it's Dave here once again for live at the 2-minute warning. And what a game we've had so far. Let me switch back to single screen. Wow, it's making me drink. Yes, baby. Now, if we can get the Vikings to score touchdown, we need a touchdown. We'll see. It's all going to be fun. This is going to be absolutely crazy these last couple minutes. We will see. I want to welcome George. I want to welcome Miss Beautiful, Miss Mary, and of course, Chevy Chase. SKOL, brother, SKOL. Now we've got wonderful commercials. Turn off my headset or my Bluetooth so I'm not listening to K-Fan anymore. And we'll go from what's on the TV. Now, I, being in Austin, and am streaming via YouTube, so I'm going to be behind everybody else that's watching it almost nationwide. So feel free to spoil in the comments. Please do. I have no problem with that. Please do. I will give you my analysis as we go. Hey, the Vikings have the ball, which is great. Thankfully. We have it, on the 30-yard line. 2 minutes to go in fourth. We are 1st and 10. We need 7 points to win the game. Can they pull this out? It's been a heck of a game. We've had injuries. The defense has been on the field seemingly all day. We'll see. Hey, Duncan, SKOL and aloha, my friend, aloha. And Justin Jefferson, they're cutting in on him. He's looked pissed all day long. He's got 99 yards today. A quiet 99. Winning touchdown prediction for Justin. Hey, yes. Please do. Come on, let's score 7. All right. We got snap, Darnold back, throws quick to Hawk. Hawk screaming for the flag. Ooh, a flag's thrown. How about that? So I pour another tequila. This game has been one of those that has not been pretty. Yeah, I'll call that a pass interference. Why not? Yep, grabbed his arm. You betcha. Let's do it. Steven says, yep, DPI. All right. First down, automatic. Puts us at the Arizona 21. Okay. Or actually, no, the 13. Ha ha! Yes. All right. As they say down here in Austin. Yeah, national coverage dropped all the way down to Dallas. Here in Austin, and if I wanted over free TV, all I got was the Houston Texans. All right. Quick wide receiver screen to Addison, and he actually gains 8 yards down to the 5. All right. Looking good. Minute 46 left and counting. Let's see. Can we punch it in? Can we get a score? Vikings fan, West Virginia. I've been saying for years, offensive line is not as good as their PFF ranking. More Cardinals in the backfield than Aaron Jones. Yeah, they've had a day today. I'll grant that. Steve says don't score too soon. Oh, we'll see. All right, Darnold drops back. Throws it off to Jones. He actually caught it. Touchdown to Aaron Jones. Yes. He held on to the football. That's a storyline from today. What in the world's wrong with Aaron Jones? But he held on to it when it counted. Yes, baby, yes. All right. And that just swung the win probability to the Vikings. Yay. All right. I'm showing it at 64.7 for your nerd nicks out there that want to keep track of the numbers. And here we go, Romo. Boom, down. Good. Yes. Vikings take the lead with 1:13 seconds. Now, can our exhausted defense stop them? We shall see. They've got to hold on. There's the attaboy talk from coach to Jones. We've got to hold on and keep them out of field goal range. Please, can they do that? Odin, please. Can you make it happen? We got to give all the vibes to the defense. Let's do it. Let's go defense. Let's go D. This will be something if we pull this one out. We've been trailing almost the whole game. Yeah, we tied it up back and forth beginning, but it was not looking good. This game has looked rough, and that's a shame. Looks like we lost Gilmore for a while with a hammy. We'll see. Boom, Romo boots it, and it goes into the end zone. They're going to touch back, take it out at the 35 or the 30 or whatever it is. All right. George says, I'm dead because I'm a Vikings fan. Trust me, brother. I know. Duncan says, time for another turnover. Hey, from your lips, brother, from your lips. May it be heard. All right, here we go. We got the diminutive Kyler Murray back, takes a snap, looks around, boom, short pass. They gain 5. Don't like 5. All right, second down. We shall see from here. Oh, they're going quick. All right, let's see. Kyler back, takes a snap. We got a 5-man rush. Kyler drops it. Oh, he cops back on it. That is officially a sack by the Gangster. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I love me, Mr. Andrew Van Ginkel. I am so happy we have him on a multi-year deal. All right. Here we go. Do it, Vikes. You got that right, Mary. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Third down. All right. Hey, my ESPN game deal is slow and behind. That's unusual. Wow, it would have been nice if we got that fumble. But we didn't. All right. Winning percentage dropped to 53.7. Come on, defense. Let's go D. Come on, crowd. Get as loud as you've ever been. Make it hard for them to think. I see Pat Jones is back in. All right. Let's see. Kyler Murray's in shotgun. Let's go D. Takes a snap. Drops. Oh, almost sacked again. He takes off running. Oh, gets stopped. Absolutely by Jonathan Grenard. 4th down. Yeah, buddy. Let's see. What in the world? Why is this going so? That's the last play. All right. They're obviously going to go for it. They need to. We'll see how this goes. Now, we couldn't get off on 3rd downs. Let's see if we can get off on 4th. 4th and 10. Yes, Steve, let's go defense. Come on, defense. Let's make it happen. Josh Metellus looking into the huddle. That was a good shot. Jonathan Grenard looks like he's hurt, or at least catching his breath. Got his eyes when it's closed. That's not good. All right, here we go. The diminutive one, Kyler Murray's back in shotgun, and they call timeout. Something didn't look right. Hopefully that gets time for Grenard. Yep, here he comes. Yeah, baby. He has been so important this year. He and Cashman and Van Geekel, all three of them, they've been fantastic acquisitions this season. Let's see how this goes. All right. Everybody's huddled back up, getting ready. Yeah, they're showing the placement of everybody. The league, the NFC North, we're second, one game behind Detroit, or actually a game and a half because they played Thursday. Soon to be one game if we can make this stop. All right, Murray back, shotgun snap. He drops, looks, throws it deep, intercepted. Yes. Vikings win on a turnover. Yes. All right. How about that, baby? Woohoo! That is fantastic. Yes. Well, today, how many of you thought this game was a loser, that we were going to lose, and yet we pull it off with a last-second interception? That is fabulous, as they would say. Absolutely fabulous. And so your Minnesota Vikings are going on their 10th win, and they're going to 10-2, baby. 10-2. Victory formation. Here we go. Pardon me. Had been yelling a little bit too much there. All right, and the clock goes down. Minnesota pulls out a victory. 23-22 is your final score. Wow. Just wow. Chevy says, puck the cards. SKOL. You got that right, Bubby. You got that right, my brother. Yes, you do. Minnesota Vikings are doing great. 10-2. Can you believe that? Our team that was forecasted by Vegas to only win 6.5 games has now won 10. 10. That's right. Count them. 10 full games. We're 10-2 with 5 more games to go. Next week, we host the Atlanta Falcons with, of course, Kirk Cousins. We shall see. Yeah, John, proud of Sam. He stepped up. He did not quit. I'll give him that. Dan, yes, made it way too close. Duncan, heart attack kids. Yes, they are. And then after the Falcons, we host the Chicago Bears on Monday night. And that will be the whiteout game. That's going to be interesting. It'll be the, second week they'll play under their temporary new head coach. We'll see how that goes. Chuck says, sweet googly boogly. Yes. Can't stop watching. Glad you didn't. Hey, Forlord. Cheers, my brother. Cheers. And this is crazy. Absolutely crazy. But, hey, and after the Bears, we travel to the Sea Chickens. And have I ever told you I hate the bird teams? I don't care which one it is. I hate them all. And that one's for Scott Backstrom. Rest in peace, my brother. Admiral Big Gun. Cousins had a bad day. Well, that's good to hear, John. I didn't see that. He's had a couple, and I saw something over the internet, they're talking about trading him, which I think would be funny, but okay. We shall see. And then after that, we have, of course, Green Bay at home and our home. And then what could be for the division, the Detroit Lions in Week 18. Hey, speaking of crappy old quarterbacks, here we go. It just switched to the Jets and the Sea Chickens. Sea Chickens are up 26-21. Not that anybody cares. All right. John Musgrove's calling for 4 interceptions. I'm assuming that's against, that he threw today. Good for him. Chuck, my high school baseball coach is Chad Ryland's uncle. Chad, great kid, but I'm sure he didn't get a chance to win at the end. Oh, well. Hey, happens. Two-tone, 10-2, baby, 10-2. You got that right. This has been a fantastic deal. And right now, I'm going to bring in my second Vikings first and SKOL contributor, the one we see all the way from across the pond. Oh, come on, OS. I love how this Mac OS does things. And it is the one and only Jonas Stark. Jonas, how you doing, brother?
A little bit stressed out right now due to the game,
Aren't we all?
obviously, but big win, very valuable win. I think also for the playoffs because they have not been good especially on offense today. Defense has been really good today, but the offense needed like 3.5, I mean 3 quarters definitely to get going. And they came from behind. They have now shown that they can do that, which is really valuable. And it gives your team a lot of confidence if you go out and win games like that, where you feel like for 3 quarters, there's nothing going your way. And now they get something going. Because that's so valuable because that allows you to stay patient when you know that you can just flip it on in the fourth quarter and get back from a double-digit deficit like that, it just makes life so much easier for you because you know that even if things are not going your way, you still have the ability to get this one done.
I couldn't agree more. The fact that it was a double-digit deficit now gives them the fortitude that they can do it. So when we get into the playoffs, they know it's not over once they're, however many points. Well, was it 13 down? So here we're going to bring in Darren Campbell, my partner from Two Old Bloggers. And if you haven't seen it, Darren and I had a great show yesterday, and you need to because we need to bump that show over 1,000 views. We would greatly appreciate it. But did we call it yesterday or did we call
it? I didn't call it really all that great. Everything that I thought the Vikings would do for 3 quarters, and the Cardinals couldn't do, it went the opposite. I was like, yeah, we can stop the run, then force the Cardinals to pass to move the ball down the field. That's not what they'd like to do. Well, we did a pretty good job on the run for the most part in the first half, and we couldn't stop the pass, Murray. And then on the defensive side of things, it was I thought that we'd be ready for what the Cardinals had to throw at us as far as protections wise, and we were not. But third quarter or midway through the third quarter, whatever, the Vikings offense, Sam Darnold, got to give Darnold a lot of credit here. Some really tough throws, under duress, on time, on target. And yeah, like if the doubters of Darnold, which included me at the beginning of the season, I think are dwindling.
Hey, he's had the best season of his career. Got to give him that. And I give most of that to Kevin O'Connell for unlocking what he can do best. And I've said it before. He's done it with other quarterbacks. Let's let him keep it up. That's one of the reasons we signed Daniel Jones this week. Hey, Too Evil, I am blown away from this being a win. Hey, Too Evil. Our buddy Drewster from Vikings Report with Drew, Ted, and Chris says it doesn't matter. A win's a win, whether it comes off an ass of a cow or not. So, hey, it's not, as I said this week, we learned about style points, right? Everybody's saying we're frauds because you just barely win. There you're eking it out. There's nothing there. You're not blowing teams out like Detroit does. Well, Detroit didn't on Thursday. They almost lost. But we're not doing it with style. Well, was it the Pittsburgh coach said?
I mean, also, let's not kid ourselves. Like, you can say you can have an ugly taste in your mouth if you beat the Jaguars or any bottom feeder team like that. The Cardinals aren't bad. They have a very good offense. Their defense has come alive recently. So they are a good football team. And this, for the most part, was a very, very competitive game between two teams, between two very good teams. And I think, it's super tough for the Cardinals right now because not only did they allow that comeback, but also the Seahawks came back. So they are now back, I think, 1.5 games in that division, which puts them out of the playoff picture for now. But I still think they have a really good shot at winning their division. And if that happens, there's a really good chance that those two teams meet each other again, this time probably in Glendale, for a wildcard match.
Interesting matchup. It would be. We'll find out. I want to welcome Tyler Fornes, the real Forno, to the show. Tyler, what did you think of this absolutely heart attack inducing game?
Before I get started on kind of what my thoughts were on the Vikings end, hats off to the Cardinals. That is an incredibly well-coached football team. Nick Rawlis looks like the next Mike Zimmer. Dave, this is your fault. Nick Rawlis looks like the next Mike Zimmer. The way he calls these plays, the way he's incredibly aggressive, but the way he's also tactical. He is elevating guys who shouldn't even be starting and making them like really good. He is just absolutely incredible performance from the Arizona Cardinals as Odie decides to bark at my belt, which is in my laundry basket over there. But with that said, their coaching also cost them because you cannot kick a field goal there. You got to go for the touchdown. You have to go for the throat. And if you don't get it, and here's why you don't go for the field goal. It's not just about, hey, you're up 6. It completely shifts how the Vikings will play offense because now they have to attack. And Greg Olsen made the point. Oh, they probably kick a field goal on that 4th down. Well, they can't kick a field goal because they're down 6. You're down 3, you kick a field goal. Guess what? Cardinals have 2.5 minutes, 3 timeouts to march down and kick a game-winning field goal, or they go to overtime. It completely shifts the mindset. It's not so much about an analytic. It's about how you change the other team's method of play. They blew it. And the Vikings defense ended up coming up huge. They've had really, really bad 2 minutes situations the last few weeks. That was phenomenal. Great pass rush. Great contain, keeping Kyler Murray in there. Jonathan Grenard just running down the parallel with him and not letting him get around the corner, tackling him in bounds. Like, all these things end up mattering, but I'm going to be incredibly irresponsible about Sam Darnold. That's a franchise quarterback. I'm starting to get into the point where I don't know how this team can let him leave the building.
You trade
And
JJ McCarthy, Tyler?
You know, it has nothing to do with JJ McCarthy being potentially great where he's at, the fact that he has an injured knee. It's you have a guy, he's now proven himself in my mind to be a franchise guy with everything that he's done, with how he meticulates, how he has developed, how he's come across the other side after teams got film on him. Just look at the way he was playing. He was getting pressure all day, and he still stepped up in the pocket and fired downfield. When it wasn't there, he was throwing it away. He was trying to run with the football. Like, Darnold is the engine behind this Vikings offense. There are problems. The interior of the offensive line, their communication was dog water. That was terrible. I'm starting to really question if it wasn't all him. There were so many issues on that offensive line. It honestly starts with Darrisaw, but is Dalton Reisner better than Ed Ingram? I'd contend he's not. And we all know my opinions on that, so I won't go too deep. But you got to fix the interior of the offensive line. You have to figure out what the hell is going on with Aaron Jones. Like, get him like a few hours to the sports psychologist. Let him kind of work it out. He had 15 fumbles across 1,500 touches with the Green Bay Packers. He has 5 across 219 touches with the Minnesota Vikings. That's a problem. But it's not like it's worrisome, but it's also like not a trend because he's never really done it before. Like, the resilience of this team, the way they kept fighting, the way they didn't put their head down. Well, how long was that defense on the field today? Like 40 minutes? And they kept battling and they kept scratching and clawing. And despite getting torched across, like, with that pass interference, that touchdown pass to Marvin Harrison Jr. was still really good coverage by Fabian Moreau. Shaq Griffin got beat a couple times. He got the game-winning interception. They didn't stop. Like, this is where that culture comes into play. I'm just really impressed with this team. This is not the 2022 team that just kept finding different ways to win by pulling magic out of their butts. This is a good football team that is finding ways to win. And they earned this win. They are 10-2. And I don't ever want to watch a game like that again. That was not fun to watch, but we learned a lot. This Vikings team is in a great spot, and they still have a realistic chance at winning the division. They're going to need help to get there, but it's non-zero, and that's a good thing at this point in the season.
I mean, our Dave and I were talking about this yesterday, Tyler and Jonas, that you're right. We need some help. And the Vikings schedule right now, starting with today's game, is not easy either. But the Detroit has some tough games coming up too, especially if the 49ers can get, Williams back and Bosa back by the time they play the Lions in a few weeks. So the Lions, they had a tough time with Chicago at home. They got the Bears on the road with a new coach, but it's not going to be smooth sailing for them either. So, but we had to win today, and just because of the pressure the Packers and the Lions are putting on us. And like Jonas said, Arizona, yes, when you look at weighted DVOA, the Vikings are 7th right now, or they were going into this game, and the Cardinals were 9th. So this game should have been close based on a lot of, the stats. Like, this was not going to be a gimme for us, and it wasn't.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jonas.
Yeah, definitely. I want to touch on some different topics right now. First of all, Tyler already called it out. The field goal to go up 6 mistake. It's always coming back on whatever team pulls it. And today, despite a very good coaching job ahead of that, it was coming back to the Cardinals, and the Vikings punished it. Another reason, it doesn't, field position doesn't matter that much in this decision, because wherever that ball is, you shouldn't take that field goal. So there's that, but in this case, there was even an enhancing factor by the fact that they were inside the 10. So even if they go for it and don't get it, the Vikings not only are probably being a little bit less aggressive because they have the field goal on the table, but they also have to go basically the whole field. They have to start their drive at, I think it was the 5 or the 6, instead of the 30.
Yeah, it was something. I thought it might have been the 4-yard line that he ended up, but I might
Yeah.
have been a bit wrong. But it was they had
Yeah.
to go a long way, like 90 plus yards.
So by kicking
To
that
get the
field goal, the Vikings basically gained 25 yards for that drive, which again should be an enhancing factor in that decision, which already should have been obvious. So really bad call for the Cardinals in that situation. And then obviously the 2-minute drive was fantastic. I've seen in the comments some comment about Sam Darnold not having a good play caller. You're right. It's an elite play caller. that's not what the guy meant, but that's the case. I don't have any idea how anybody can look at this Vikings team right now and not call Kevin O'Connell one of the best play callers in the league. I just don't get it. I just don't get how you can still think that he is not a good play caller. At least I don't see where anybody can come from with that opinion. I just don't get it.
There's
Yes,
plenty of
he's
them out
pass
there.
heavy at time.
I can tell you
I don't
why they
understand
think that, Jonas. It's because, if the play wasn't successful, that means it was a bad play call. Well, there's so many different reasons. And I mean, you know this. We all know this. But the success of the play does not mean it wasn't a great play call. There are a lot of different nuanced things. There are a lot of different minuscule elements that can derail a play call. And he calls a great game. He puts these guys in positions to make the plays. And as Jared Mayo said the other day, I think it was last week after the Patriots lost, he's like, once those players cross that white line, there's nothing more I can do for them. And hearing a head coach say that is a little bit alarming. Like, whoa, why are you saying that? Well, Mayo was like a multi-time Pro Bowler, and I think he was an All-Pro as an NFL player for Bill Belichick. So he understands it. You can't help them once they're actually on the field and playing. You can only prepare them. And you can maybe argue, there's an element of coaching. You're not coaching them up enough during the week so they make some of those plays. But the stuff he does is just bonkers. His favorite concept right now that I've noticed, other than dagger, he loves getting to dagger in a million different ways. That deep one to Addison on that final drive, beautiful. But they love putting Jefferson in the backfield or getting Jefferson on like that bubble screen. And then they like to run like a wheel route behind it to try and get the guys crashing. And boom, hit it for a touchdown. They tried it again. They hit it against the Giants. They've hit it a couple other times. But man, I don't know if I'd want anybody else calling this team except for maybe Andy Reid. And even then, like, no, this is great. We're in such a good situation offensively. It's bonkers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and putting those receivers in the backfield, I think he's done it with Jefferson a few times, but he has also done it with Addison, I think, is also proven to be very effective. It's way more effective than lining up running backs as receivers because it puts defenses in really tough spots. It's very hard to play man coverage on that. And you either have to really vary from your usual defensive structure, or you have to accept bad matchups if a wide receiver, especially a good wide receiver, is lined up in the backfield. It's really tough to defend. There's no good way to counter that as a defense, and therefore it's really effective. And Kevin O'Connell, like a lot of other stuff, has figured that out.
Dave, Too Evil to Hope, I just want to address his last comment there about you can tell when the scripted plays are done. There was actually a story out a few weeks ago that where, and I can't remember what the subject matter was, but it talked about how Kevin O'Connell does actually not script plays.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that does not happen.
Here's kind of the tough part with that. Even if you do script plays, one of the reasons why you see the drop off is the defense adjusts to what you're doing, and then you have to make counter adjustments. It's not always as fluid as the second those quote unquote scripted plays are done, everything's just going to continue on as you want it. Now it becomes a chess match. Now it becomes, hey, I need to figure out what they're doing and then implement calls to go against it. One of the tough things about being a Vikings play caller is teams will throw stuff at you to combat Justin Jefferson that they haven't shown on tape all year because it's Justin Jefferson. So now Kevin O'Connell and his staff have to make in-game adjustments, and that can take time. And it's not a fun thing to talk about. It's not a fun thing. It's not an excuse either. It's just the reality of being in the National Football League. Once you find out what their counterpunch is, you have to counterpunch back. And it's not instantaneous most of the time. It takes time, especially coming out in like the third quarter. You like if they have if you put out the counterpunch and they have a counter ready for that, sometimes that's just football.
And to the point of it being very obvious, I think there was a different point in the game where stuff was really obvious. It was the point where the Vikings figured out their defense. Like Sam Darnold for most of the game, didn't understand the looks that the Cardinals were giving them. The protection wasn't there. They weren't understanding the looks they were getting. And then there was some point at the start of that touchdown drive where they, I think, figured out some stuff, where they figured out the zones they were getting. They figured out the soft spots. And they also kind of figured, probably have to rewatch that. Probably the Cardinals got a little bit softer on that, but I think still they still sent their guys, but the Vikings were now picking them up. The Vikings now were able to see where they were coming from, and they saw something. They made some adjustments, and it worked. At that point, they started to move the ball up and down the field. They had to settle for that one field goal in between because of the mistake, mainly because Aaron Jones dropped that ball in the end zone. And yeah, it's not an easy catch for a running back, but we've known Aaron Jones long enough to know that he usually makes those. So they found a way to beat this defense. They figured this defense out. They made the adjustments that were necessary, and that's what makes a good play caller. And that's what happened today.
Too evil to hope. What more comments there? He's talking about why he contends that the Vikings, why is the Vikings offense not been as effective with the soft part of the schedule? Well, if you look at yardage they've generated, starting with the Jacksonville game or whatever, the offense has been very effective. But in the Jacksonville game, partly in the Tennessee game too, turnovers cost us, shooting ourselves in the foot. We didn't have a problem moving the ball up and down the field up until today, but the points weren't there. So I think the offense has been very good the past 4 games, except for, in a lot of cases, turnovers. And so I don't think that's been an issue.
And I think there are levels to it too. One thing, like kind of talking about that subject, if you've ever played Tecmo Super Bowl and like the first 3 games of the season that you do, your players are just dynamite. And then all of a sudden they start to get banged up and they start to struggle and they're slower. And they're not making the catches. And then all of a sudden you're turning the ball over more. Like, I mean, none of these guys are 100%. Like there's so many different reasons behind it. And like, here's the thing. Every NFL team is good, even if they're bad. It's hard to win games in the NFL. And like, even the great teams struggle. The Chiefs were this close to losing to the Raiders on Friday. Like,
and as Alan Weeks says, Arizona's second best defense over the last 5 or 6 games. We've played a lot of good defenses lately. So,
and we're going to play more because starting with today, again, that DVOA thing, I was reading an article on FTN. According to the way the defenses and offenses play, the Vikings have the toughest. They face the 10th best offenses coming up starting with the Arizona game today, and they also play the 4th best slate of offenses started with today. So, and I didn't see anybody else that was close to that. Yeah, but the teams we're facing from starting with Arizona and till the end of the season, both are very good, pretty good on defense and offense. So we're not facing pushovers here.
That is correct. Now, I want to go back to, I acknowledged, Big sent us a super chat that he asked, Tyler, if you're so high on Sammy, what about Jones? I don't think he wants to be a career backup.
No, but maybe he wants to do the Sam Darnold path of having a year with a great play caller, a great situation, being able to kind of refresh, reset, and then go back out and hit the open market and see if he can get that prove it deal. There's a method to that madness. Coaching and situation matters so much for these young men trying to be able to excel at their craft, because it's already a difficult enough job. But if everybody else makes it even more difficult, then, like, for lack of a better phrasing, what's the point? Like, he has not had a good situation in New York. He's never had it good in New York. And now he comes to Minnesota and he can kind of rehab himself. Like, this is QB rehab. Like,
we talked about that yesterday. Kevin O'Connell's school for QB rejects, if you want to put it that way. But it is what it is. We'll see.
Jones is not interested in going to a bad team after he got released and shit in the bed and not tanking his market value going into the offseason. So I think very instructive what he did, signing with the Vikings, knowing that he's probably not going to see the field at all. And what happens in the offseason happens in the offseason. But I wouldn't be surprised, like a lot of people are speculating, and is that Darnold goes, Jones gets signed as the backup to McCarthy, and like Tyler says, it's QB rehab all over again.
Mm-hmm. And I think,
at this point, I've watched the QB free agency class this week, and it's pretty bleak. I mean, Sam Darnold is by far the best QB on the market. Then there's Justin Fields, who might be able to get that kind of prove a deal that Darnold got this year. And then there's basically nothing. Then there's already a guy like Daniel Jones or somebody like that, and a bunch of career backups. And I think that's what Daniel Jones is betting on. Now he can sit in this situation. He can sit with Kevin O'Connell. He can kind of reset himself, and either he gets that prove a deal immediately this offseason, or he goes back to the Vikings, sits another year probably, does the insurance policy thing behind JJ McCarthy, and then goes on the open market next year, which again, this has been tried and true. This has worked for a lot of QBs, not necessarily a lot of franchises, because many of those QBs are still bad when they are getting out of this kind of 1 year rehab. But we've seen it from time to time. We have seen it with Geno Smith. We have seen it with Baker Mayfield, and now Sam Darnold has been the latest example of that. So it can work. So that's the approach Daniel Jones is taking.
Gotcha. Big's ass was Daniel Jones injured? I don't think so.
No.
Other than
he's
pride.
not injured. He's fine.
So, a SKOL for Life Barber says game ball to the kicker, Sammy D, and the defense. Romo missed one today, which could have been crucial. Darren talked about it in our private chat. And boy, did that look like it was going to affect the game. But he made it when it counted. That's good. That's good. And
I got to, getting back to quarterbacks, but just you got to love the decision making from Darnold the past 3 games after what had happened previous to those 3 games, right? Like particularly with the Jacksonville game, where a lot of people are worried about, man, he's making bad decisions. Why is he throwing it there? And even earlier in the year with some of his WTF moments on not just pass plays but run plays. But past 3 games, I'm not saying he's eliminated it, but there has not been one throw I've had an issue with, or one decision I've had an issue with, that Sam Darnold has made in 3 games. And that is a great, great sign for the Vikings, because I think in a lot of cases, the only thing that can really submarine this offense is the WTF brain fart moments by Darnold, and he has not made them in 3 games.
Mhm.
I mean, he had that one series where he threw like 2 or 3 straight interceptable passes, like the one where I'm like, just chuck it off out of bounds, because that was very obviously a throwaway that was almost picked off, because he threw it short instead of just chucking it out of bounds. And then, I mean, the second one could have been picked off because it was tipped. Obviously, those are always dangerous. And the third one was to Addison, I think, in the end zone, where there was, I think, a Cardinals defender right ahead of him, and the ball goes through his hands. So there was that one Bozo series that he had, but the Cardinals didn't punish it, and otherwise, I didn't think he looked as sharp for most of the game today. There were some times where, for me, he looked a little bit undecisive, which was kind of a step down from the last few games, because over the last few games, the best thing about him was him being very decisive, which, again, is a tribute to the defense the Cardinals played today. I don't think the Vikings fully understood what they were facing for most of the game, until that breakthrough late in the fourth quarter. And I mean, credit to Darnold to not making the big mistake in that situation. I think few weeks back, he probably would have thrown like 2 picks on this one, when he doesn't really understand what he sees. So I think that's definitely a step forward. But I think, again, got to rewatch the tape, but I thought there was some meat left on the bone by Sam in the first few quarters,
He sailed
because
at
he
least
didn't.
3 to the end zone, 2 to Addison and 1 to Naylor.
Yeah,
Whereas
but also
High
I
and-
think there were a few times where he just didn't pull the trigger because the Cardinals defense just confused him a little bit, and because of that, he wasn't seeing the open man, and because he didn't get what he was expecting, he just halted. He just hesitated a little bit too long, which mostly led to sacks today. But not turning the ball over today, gotta give him credit for that.
Well, his final stats were 21 for 31, 235 yards, 7.6 yards per pass average, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He took 5 sacks that we'll be discussing this week. And he had a passer rating of 111.6. So another,
Also tied for our top rusher today, which we hope there isn't a repeat of that.
yes, 4 runs for 22 yards. So
Yeah. I think the most important stat for me is the Cardinals made the red zone 6 times. They scored in 5 of them, but they only scored 1 touchdown. That's huge.
that is huge. But the fact that they made it that many times was bad. The defense looked wore out and tired because what was the time of possession? I got to switch here.
I mean, sure, it wasn't great, but when you think about it, they like 1 play over 20 yards, no explosives. They had to scratch and claw to be able to make it down each time, and then they held tough when it mattered. I can live with that. I'm okay with that.
I think
A win's a win.
I'm more. I think I'm higher on that than just. I can live with that. That was a really good defensive performance. The Cardinals had the ball all game in the first half because the Vikings could move it, and just gave it back to them immediately. They had a short field after that Aaron Jones fumble, which resulted in a missed field goal because the Vikings got the Cardinals not out of field goal range necessarily, but they pushed them back a lot, which led to a harder field goal. And yeah, it was a really good defensive performance against a fringe top 5 offense. They're going to move the ball on you. And the Vikings held their ground pretty well, I think.
Okay.
I thought I was saying with Dave, like our pass rush today, I was saying they look a little bit tentative going after Murray, but I think that was also sort of the plan. Because if you go balls out trying to get him like 100 miles an hour, he's going to do and get around you and then escape. So I think they were really trying hard to be controlled in their pass rushes and keep him in the pocket as best they could. And they were going to live with, if he hits a 5-yard dump off, well, we'll just rally and tackle and see what we do. But and like you said, it led to only one touchdown, a lot of movement up and down the field, but not only one touchdown. And with our offense, if we can execute, usually we're going to win those games.
Mm-hmm. Chevy says, we missed Pace today. Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
They did.
I mean, yeah, sure, but I think, defense was still very good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the combination of Cashman and Pace is a brilliant one.
But I think, to be honest, with the role they are playing to this defense, I think Cashman is way more valuable than Ivan Pace.
I agree, that's but
that's not a knock on. Yeah, sure.
Magic.
But I think they were able to mask that pretty effectively today.
There was enough of those runs that went for first downs that I think Pace would have stopped. But hey, it's a difference of opinion, but we'll see.
And that could be a function of being on the field a long time and being a bit gassed, where you just can't get off the block, can't get the tackle when you need to make it, can't get there at the spot. Because in the first half, the first drive, the Arizona ran the ball effectively. After that, they didn't really get a whole hell of a lot. But as the game wore on and we couldn't sustain drives offensively, and the Arizona it just seemed like the defense was on the field way too long, and they started giving up more of those chunk plays. And Connor's going to wear on you because he's rarely going to go down with just one guy arm tackling him, and he's going to drag the pile. And he did that on a few carries.
A few too many carries, yes.
Yes.
Now, let's go over some of the other stats from today. We had, like we said, Sam had a good day. We also had the one and only Justin Jefferson with what I would call a quiet 99 yards, passing all sorts of other records today. Good for him. He looked pissed off to me all game long. Did anybody else see that? Every camera angle, it was always sort of a look.
Hey, I'll say this, and I won't speak for Jefferson, but I will speak for myself. When I'm really focused and dialed in, I look pissed off. Like that's just how I look when I'm just really focused and trying to get something done. So
getting to read that 20th article.
I'm not reading into that at all. I'll be honest.
Or getting to write that 20th article on the day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I mean, the offense was pretty bad for 3 quarters, so he had good reason to look pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And it must wear on you to be seeing the coverages he is, where there's 2 or 3 guys on you every play, and you're wondering, am I ever going to get the ball? And and eventually the Vikings figured out a way. I like that they threw him a couple of shorties when things were getting a bit slow, and just say, maybe this will be a 5-yard game, but at least we're getting the ball in Jefferson's hands and keeping him engaged, and we're going to get a positive play out of it, and then we'll work on the longer explosive plays later on in the game. So you just can't, I think, not target him, even though the defense is dictating that. You got to find ways to get him the ball, and Kevin O'Connell found ways to get him the ball when a little bit late after the first and second quarter, and that's just the way it's going to have to go going forward, because defenses since the Jacksonville game and probably even before, the old copycat NFL, they're just continue to blanket Jefferson, and that's not going to change.
Mm-hmm. Mark, I'm not understanding. Well, if Green Bay wins, due to your logic, does nothing for us. Well, but if the Lions win, the last game, does it matter? Yes. If Green Bay wins, then this whole division is up for grabs, because then we'll own the common opponent tiebreaker, as I understand it. So I don't want Green Bay to win. I would like both of them to end in a tie. That way we still own the common opponent, I think, or we go one up, and then that last game against Detroit matters, because if we win the division, as I understand it. But we'll see. The option for them to tie is, or the possibility is slim. But
also, there's still that Buffalo game looming for the Lions. So
yeah, they've got some tough games ahead.
There are a lot of tough games for the Lions to stumble.
Mm-hmm.
I hoped it would be Thanksgiving. It was close. And if Matt Eberflus isn't a massive idiot in that situation, the Bears might have pulled that off. But
it's
we
weird
know how it
because, like, the overall in a vacuum, the decision to, hey, you have two plays called, get lined up and start a play. Good decision. I thought they probably should have done that. Then you have the whole
they had
field.
Like 36 seconds left or 40 some odd seconds left. Yes.
34 seconds left. Yeah. But once it got down to like 16 seconds, then Eberflus should have bailed him out and called timeout. As a quarterback, you have to know you can't change the play call at the line of scrimmage like that. There's not enough time.
It was a pretty big team effort in this situation from Eberflus and Caleb Williams to blow this one. So they both. I mean, starting
was
with
it Caleb
the
Williams?
Fact that Caleb Williams took a sack at the play before that, which he absolutely cannot take. So there was a lot of stupidity going around in that situation from multiple guys. But man, as a head coach, like Tyler said, this clock's ticking below 20, and you see your QB goes up to the line of scrimmage and starts to audible around. Like, you got to see, oh, no, that's not going to work. Let's call the timeout right there.
Hey, maybe it was Caleb playing 3D or 4D chess and saying, hey, I want a new head coach. But it is what it is. Jonas, you going to be hopping on your German podcast this week?
We'll see. I also have some other stuff to do this week because, I mean, there has been some stuff that has been laying around and I haven't been able to get to that. There's some work to be done. One thing, I really want to get my Blue Sky account going because in the long run, I would like to move all my football content from Twitter to Blue Sky. I would really like that, but I haven't been able to do anything for now at this platform. So I really want to take time for that. And yeah. The other thing is I also got a new iPhone right now, and I still have to do some, rework some settings there. One thing that was really annoying this game is, as most people know, probably my Twitter feed is, I think, 80% in English. And right now, the phone I bought with the settings, it's just German. And
You should be able to
because
fix
of,
that.
and because of that, it autocorrects every time I try to write something in English. So it takes me a long time to even write those tweets, because I always have to look if it autocorrected some stuff there. And with my old phone, I had the settings the way that it both doesn't correct German and doesn't correct English. And
You hear that,
I
Apple? That
still
needs
have
to be added. Make sure it works.
I mean,
Thanks.
it is there. I just have to switch on those settings. So gotta put on time there.
Tyler, what have we got going this week?
Oh boy. A lot of discussion about this team. Kirky boy comes home next week. And I don't know if you guys paid much attention to that Falcons game. Kirky boy was bad. 4 interceptions and a loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. It might be over for Kirky boy, unless his long lost dad, Kyle Shanahan, can save him from Atlanta. So we're going to talk about that. I've got a lot of stuff for A to Z Sports coming out.
Do we not have a mutual friend that writes for Atlanta?
Yeah. Wednesday might not be able to be a live show. You and I have to talk about that, Dave. But
okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird week for me coming up. So we'll have 2 shows. No worries about that. But timing might be a little weird.
And for timing, I apologize for this week. Tyler's show, which we recorded on, what was it, Wednesday? I didn't get out till last night. Because I had it all set, ready to go on the podcast side. And it just sat there. It didn't publish. But anyways, stuff happens. Speaking of stuff, Darren, what are you going to be planning for you and me next weekend on Two Old Bloggers?
Well, it always depends on the week's developments, but I think I was tracking, and it didn't end up happening today, but the opposite happened. Was kind of tracking, like it seemed like the Vikings defense was playing lights out for 2, maybe 3 quarters, and then faltering in the fourth a bit and letting teams get back into the game. They did the opposite today. So we'll see about that. But I think Tyler was kind of reading my mind, because I was watching the Atlanta game, or following that closely, and Bijan Robinson ran for 102 yards. I think Herbert threw for less than 200, and they still lost. And Kirkwood, 4 interceptions, Falcons, 3 straight losses. Do we see Michael Penix next Sunday against the Vikings? Have they? I doubt it, but as we've heard on this show, I think there's a non-zero chance that Michael Penix is the starting quarterback on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And a Big Says plus winner in the North will probably have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, unless Philly sneaks in. Philly worries me, but I do believe we can beat them. So we'll probably start getting into a little playoff talk. And if you missed it yesterday, Darren and I on Two Old Bloggers actually got into a little draft talk ahead of Tyler. So, but it is what it is. Join us this week. If Sal hasn't turned into a popsicle today with her tail, from what I gather, it started out in single digits and didn't get into the teens or close to it. And then she does the post-game tailgating as well. So she's still out there. We'll have Sal on as well. So it should be a good week. And we get back into a normal push towards the playoffs. We're in December, people. And that means playoff football is on the horizon. Yes, go shopping, get your best Christmas deals, do all of that, but always keep an eye open for what's happening with the Minnesota Vikings on Vikings First and SKOL. With that, what do we say?
SKOL Vikings.
Baby.
SKOL Vikings. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and share this episode with your friends and even your enemies. We'd love it. Thanks for watching Vikings First and SKOL. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and we appreciate each and every one of you. SKOL.